Magandang gabi, ako po si Voltaire Tupas. Welcome to Rappler Talk. Kasama po natin ngayong gabi ang isang profesor mula sa Graduate School of International Development ng Nagoya University sa Japan, si Professor Wataru Kusaka. He's been studying Philippine politics, Southeast Asian politics, at magaling siyang mag-Filipino at mag-Cebuano, I understand. Welcome to the Philippines, Professor.
Thank you very much.
Let's begin on a lighter note. Saan nanggagaling yung interest mo sa Philippine politics? Paano nagsimula yung ganong interest mo?
Okay, kasi pinanganak ako sa Japan, tapos sa Japan, alam mo naman ninyo, no, medyo napaka-mahigpit, sobrang disiplina, medyo nakapagod ako doon. Pero noon nakarating ako sa Pilipinas, naging member ako ng NGO, kaya nakarating ako sa Pilipinas, tapos naramdaman ko, ang saya para ang buhay sa Pilipinas. Siyempre, kahit pobre ang mga tao, parang masaya ba? Kaya gusto ko pinag-aralan ang Pilipinas.
Saan exactly sa Pilipinas?
I went to Leyte.
That's where I come from.
Oh, that's nice. But I'm from Cebuano area.
Okay. Particularly isang banda?
Albuera.
Albuera, Leyte.
Albuera.
Which is controversial now because of the drug.
I'm so surprised about it.
But around that time, can we go back sa panahon na yun kung kailan ka nagpunta sa Leyte? Anong panahon na yun? Naririnig na ba yung ganitong mga issue on war, on drugs, yung mga...
Wala pa yun, kasi nung nakapunta ko doon sa Leyte, mga 1999, mga early 2000, kaya wala pa ganyang issue. Siyempre may mga droga, pero di naman gano'ng kalaking issue noon eh.
And bumalik ka ngayon sa Pilipinas, you came back, and I understand even before the elections, the recent presidential elections, you talked to some of the people in Leyte and in the Philippines. What was the perception then of the people before they voted for the new leader?
Okay, so I did research before the election, mga Marso yata, no? Umikot-ikot sa ako iba-ibang parte ng Pilipinas. So I talked with my friends. My biggest surprise and finding was that mga friends, old friends, mga tambay, walang trabaho, mga gumagamit, they also supported Duterte. I was so surprised. Ha? Totoo ba? Gumagamit ka man naman eh. Kung panalo siya, pagkapapatahin ka niya. Tapos they said, no, hindi ba talaga ganyan.
I read that part in your book which you recently published. It's called Moral Politics in the Philippines. This was published just this year, I understand. And it covered what period prior to the elections, I understand. So that page, that part where you discuss the situation of the Philippines during the campaign period, you can sense the sense of hope sa mga Pilipino noon. Talagang nakita nila na ang Pangulo ay magbibigay sa kanila ng economic progress, security, at saka siyang tutugon sa mga issue ng corruption. Now, you're back in the Philippines, the situation is different. How would you describe the political situation now?
Una, so before election, yung mga drug users, magagamit, gusto nilang baguhin ang kanilang buhay. Yung kasi diba, discourse in Duterte, pagbabago, no? Yung pagbabago, hindi naman sa bayan, pati yung mga buhay ng mga drug users. Kaya, parang gusto rin nila tanggalin ambisyon para mas maging pwede silang magsuporta sa pamilya. Kaya inaasahan nila ang disiplina ng Duterte. Kaya sariling isang loob, sumuko sila sa Duterte. Pero later, they realize naging target sila ng tukhang. Kahit na yung may tiwala sila sa presidente, parang hinaharas sila. Kaya there is a kind of sense of betrayal. So, konting-konti nawala ang kanilang trust kay sa presidente. Yung ang naramdaman ko na yun.
Which many will question because the president remains popular. Although mayroong bagong survey ng social weather stations na almost 50% ng mga mamamayang Pilipino ay medyo hindi na naniniwala sa linya ng police that the victims fought back or nanlaban. To a certain extent, that could explain yung drop ng popularity ng war on drugs, but the president remains popular. How do you explain that? phenomena.
And popularity still.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so maybe I can use a case of Albera Leyte,
yeah.
where I have been there almost 20 years. I'm surprised that no, we often criticize the president as human rights violators, but people in Albera told me that it was Duterte who give us human rights. Without Duterte, we didn't have human rights. But it's true. Actually, I found many of my old friends are harassed. Some were killed by Mayor, actually, Kerwin Espinosas. So they actually there are no media coverage about it. So even without Duterte, the killing of my son, my husband, was not exposed. Because of Duterte, this case was exposed. And then GB Espinido came here, and so we came. The place was normalized. So, so they narrate. They really appreciate the big change caused by Duterte. So it's a big. We can see the big difference of discourses in provinces and like Metro Manila. So I'm thinking we have to bridge this gap of conception.
Are these actual differences, or in perceptions, or in fact, they're confusing human rights with security?
Yes, yes. Actually, human rights are very new discourses for people in Albera, but perhaps they are not convinced by the way Metro Manila media use human rights. What they, with listening to the concept of human rights, what they imagine is that oppression under Espinosas. So they were not able to voice out. They were just speechless. Even though their neighbors, their family are killed, speechless. That's exactly loss of human rights, denial of human rights for them.
So that's notion on human rights at the local level, but it could not be explained at the national. It could not. It's not understood at the national level in the same way that they appreciate the concept at the local level. Do you think the people in the Philippines are that appreciative of the concept of human rights? Because until now, well, you can see, you can hear people now criticizing the war on drugs after kids and minors were killed. But prior to that, you can hardly hear the voices of many critics.
I believe Filipinos in general, they support human rights, but perhaps there's a kind of confusion the way this concept is utilized. So as I have explained, in Albera Leyte, they use the concept of human rights in very different way. So maybe it's important for us to make common ground, because so people in Metro Manila, middle class, professional, urban poor, different people has different. I mean, they can support the idea of human rights. So maybe we can make a common ground, no? So maybe we have to understand different contexts.
What do your studies show? You are suggesting that the concept of human rights vary from one class to another?
Maybe it depends on society, context.
Based on your studies, well, that's geographical, Manila population and then the Albuera population, seemingly they have different views. In Manila, what was your observations? When you lived with the urban poor communities, I understand.
Yeah, actually, they don't use the concept of discourse of human rights, but they. So what's your question? Sorry.
In Manila, for instance, because you're more familiar with the Albuera, people and how they perceive human rights. In Manila, when you live with the urban poor communities, because many of the victims are living in urban poor communities.
Yes.
What's their notion of human rights?
Actually, I haven't encountered so much about it. They actually do not frequently talk about human rights. What they talk about is what's that? So as I have explained the case of drug users, it's kind of gambling to change society. So so pagbabago, disiplina, tapos ano ba?
In a situation where poverty is still, is still being experienced by many Filipinos, what would be the turning point, the tipping point for this? Based on your studies, the way you understand Filipino behavior. In this case, have we reached the point when the boiling point in terms of public sentiment? Because we see people, protesting. Then recently we had these protests. What does this say about public perception of the Duterte administration?
Okay.
Has it changed?
Okay. Perhaps I can say that. So it was big. It's actually this change is very slow, but I can sense that, as I explained, there are so many people. I don't remember how many people voluntarily surrendered to the police. They voluntarily admitted I gumagamit ako, no?
Okay.
So why they surrendered? They were not only because they were threatened by police to kill. They surrendered because they trusted the president.
Okay.
They trusted because they want to change life. No?
Okay.
They want to change the Philippines. That's their trust. But after they surrendered, what happened to them?
Okay.
They were threatened to kill. Some were killed actually. So this sense of betrayal somehow undermining the support for the president.
Okay.
But still the problem is that even urban poor community or rural community, there is a kind of binary. It means that we are good citizens, they are bad. Yung gumagamit, masama sila, kahit tanggalin natin.
Okay.
Kaya hindi ako kasama dyan.
Okay.
So there is a kind of moral discourses which divides the community into good and evil.
Hence your
Yes,
your
exactly.
book. Para sa mga hindi nakakaintindi, what exactly is moral politics? Is it simply good versus evil?
Yes.
Or how about the dichotomy now in Philippine society? You have the Dilawan, the Yellows, and
DDS?
The DDS. Yeah, that's the dichotomy now. Is that reflective of the moral politics?
Actually,
which
while
you've
I
been
worked on the
studying?
book, it was more class antagonism because I started this research after people from Duterte.
Okay.
So the urban poor had rallied to reinstall Estrada to the presidency, right? So I was shocked by the event. So I did this research. So what I found is that the poor are middle class. On the one hand, middle class, they call for transparency, reform, accountability, good governance. But under these moral discourses, the poor are criticized, criminalized.
Okay.
Because their livelihoods are illegal. Often they are living in a squatter community. They are selling fruits based on the street. It's non-law-abiding livelihood, right? So they can survive without violating law. So they cannot be good citizens.
Okay.
So this moral dichotomy was what I found during this research. But in a way, we can observe the similar situation now.
You are saying that the advocacies of the middle class, the advocacies of NGOs, have somehow alienated the poor precisely because they could not identify with their causes like transparency, good governance, which ultimately should benefit the whole population, the poor, but somehow they could not identify.
So I think this is a kind of paradox of political correctness.
Okay.
Actually, it's correct. Nobody can criticize it. Political correctness is correct, but it divides the society into good and evil. Especially in the Philippines, many people have to violate law just to survive. So everyone cannot be law-abiding citizens, right? So it can be very dangerous.
Okay.
So we talk about we need moral citizens for democracy.
Okay.
But this moral discourse of moral democracy constructs good citizens and immoral non-citizens.
Okay.
So this dichotomy can be very dangerous for democracy.
So you are saying that the advocates themselves, are you particularly referring to the middle class and the NGOs and the civil society groups? They should reframe their message, their advocacies? What are you suggesting?
On the one side, I criticize moral Hippocratic. I don't use, I'm sorry, using Hippocratic, but I criticize the danger of moral discourses. But at the same time, I see hope in the advocacy of NGOs because NGOs create a channel in which different people meet, encounter, right? Middle class NGO workers mingle with urban poor or farmers. So this encounter, so this channel is very much important. But this channel cannot be one side enlightenment.
Okay. Yeah.
Sometimes we professionals have this tendency, they don't understand. We have to raise awareness, their awareness. We have to enlighten them. But that deny plurality of morality. We have to respect. We have different moralities, right? We have to listen and learn each other.
So it's a case of one class evangelizing its own. It's middle class evangelizing middle class. But the middle class in the Philippines, it seems to have weakened over time. During the ouster of President Estrada, you can sense, you can feel, you can hear their voice.
Yes.
But now you can sense that they're in disarray, and it has not consolidated. But there are efforts now among forces from the left, the professionals, the church. They are now converging. Is this? Can we say that this is the beginning of a movement that could possibly be a strong opposition to the administration?
It can be, but important thing is that instead of repeating your causes, you have to listen to other side's experience. Those who really believe, Duterte saved us, Duterte saved my life. There are so many people who have this kind of idea. So instead of criticizing their morality, instead of upholding your morality, we have to make a kind of discursive arena in which we can hear different voices. We can learn each other. So that's most important. So making common ground. If you are successful, maybe this movement can be bigger and bigger and bigger. It will be more exclusive, inclusive.
Is it still possible, given the entry of a new factor, the digital world, social media?
It can be more dangerous because we can be more offensive.
Social media has amplified the division.
Yes, exactly.
The dichotomy is now so pronounced. You can, one part of the divide and the other.
Yes.
And now
that's the danger.
That's the danger. So how can the public, for instance, how can you still create spaces for discussion and inclusivity?
So that's a big difficulty. But for myself, I do field work. So I want to meet with people. I want to feel how they experience. So it's not only discourses. So if you go to the Albuera, you can sense a sense of atmosphere of fear.
Yeah.
So that kind of feeling was very much important. So we are so much divided. So maybe it would be nice if we can, I don't know. So we should have more opportunity to talk with different people.
Okay.
So maybe media can create such opportunity, I think.
Yeah. Based on your studies in Southeast Asia, is this also happening in other parts of the region? This behavior of the public? Have you observed similar situations?
Not only Southeast Asia, but also anywhere in the world. Even in Japan, we can see these moral discourses. We are right, they are wrong. We have to destroy them. We are oppressed because of them. In case of Japan, we are kind of xenophobia is strong, because of China, because of Korea. So that kind of right-wing discourses is on the rise. But this kind of simple discourses I think it's a false remedy. Peking gamot siya. Kahit na we eliminate foreigners, Japanese economic program cannot be solved. So now nahirapan tayo sa maraming problema. Kapag nahirapan tayo, we tend to identify enemies. So we want to eliminate this enemy. But this is not solution. So, but this kind of idea and discourses observable anywhere in the world, even US, right? So it's a kind of common trend.
The international community has condemned the Duterte administration, and the supporters are really defending the president. Can you give us a sense of the perception of the world, the way you see it from the outside?
Perhaps my sense is that those who support Duterte think that they are not listened, they are not heard. Without being heard, listened, they were simply criticized, mocked, as blind followers. So this they feel their voice was somehow denied. So maybe kahit na yung hindi naman, even though you do not agree with their idea, at least they become more offensive because they believe they are not heard.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So
another point would be the democracies, for instance, are being threatened by the rise of populist politics. Naging breeding ground ba yung Philippine politics sa ganong rise ng populist policy? That's why we have an administration like this. Did that contribute to the rise of the Duterte administration?
Yeah, well, I think Philippines is a front runner of democracy because now Philippines is a kind of very much advanced in terms of democracy because nowadays, after the perhaps after 1990s, any country cannot sustain a welfare state. So many countries are struggling how is it possible to make democracy sustainable in a very unequal society, So how democracy can be possible in a class-divided society? This is a common challenge for many countries. Philippines has experienced this challenge for many years. So I think actually this is the time we can learn from the Philippines. Philippines is always front runner of democracy, including problems and challenges. So,
but the problem now is, even if they, well, you said earlier that they still they put their hope in the president, but they can still distinguish between the president and the institutions, even if the war on drugs is being criticized. Nananatili sa police. Police yung biniblame, for instance. The survey, for instance, would show that.
Right.
The popularity has dropped. They don't believe the explanation of the police that they fought back, but they can still separate the president.
Yes,
from
exactly.
that. How does that explain how the mind of Filipinos? Is that blind submission?
No, I don't think they the supporters are blind forwards. Perhaps many people still believe in believe the president, but I think maybe I'm repeating same thing, but like many people. So there are so many people trusted him, but many people are feeling they are betrayed by him. This is very much important. And in the case of Kian's mother and father, the supporters, right? So like this, so he's killing. This administration is killing his supporters. So that's very big message for the supporters. So although it doesn't reflect to the popularity rate, but I think it will affect the longer term. So I don't think Filipinos can tolerate this massive murder. What I know, as long as I know Filipinos, it's very much pro-life, right?
Yung ba ang kabutihan na may dudulot nito? At the end of the day, anong tingin mo based on your studies din, ano nakikita mo future ng democracy ng
I think this is also trial of Filipinos. I mean, democracy is a trial and error, right? Democracy doesn't give you ultimate answer. It's always never-ending trial and error. So Duterte can be one of the trial of Filipinos. If he doesn't work, Filipinos will switch to a new idea, new leader, new practices. So, I mean, I think so. This, so.
But at this point, can we say that the trial has failed? At this point,
it can fail. It can fail. I think it will fail because killing drug users won't be a solution. It's just it's a fake remedy. It's fake solution. I think so. It doesn't solve your problem like traffic, economy. It's fake issue. I think so. It will fail, but then Filipinos can go beyond. So I'm always trusting Filipinos.
Beyond the war on drugs, ano pa yung ibang mga issues na sa tingin mo sa pananaw ng maraming Pilipino na nakausap mo ang hindi na tutugunan ng pansin ng Pangulo? Were there issues they think the President is not addressing other than the war on drugs? Did they raise other issues?
So many, maybe traffic, in Metro Manila, traffic or there are so many issues, right? What else, right? Ekonomiya, marami ding problema, di ba? But the administration is too much, emphasizing this issue. So, yeah.
So what does your book recommend and your recent works?
Okay, so my recommendation.
Where do we go from here?
Okay, my recommendation is very much simple. So I would repeat, we have to create channel in which different people listen and meet each other.
Okay.
Instead of repeating your morality, we have to pluralize. We have to accept this plurality of morality. So we have to respect each other's experience, from which maybe we can rebuild democracy, I think. This is my message.
But if it's fake news, for instance, and there's disinformation, how can you argue with them? I mean, that definitely undermines public good, constructive public
But fake news, fake news is also discourses. It constructs reality.
Yeah, indeed.
Indeed. So,
are you facing that in Japan too? The proliferation of
sometimes, but in the Philippines, fake news is
different.
So how is it possible to talk with people who believe the fake news? It takes time. But
can you give specific tips to netizens on how to strengthen democracy using social media?
Just go out from your room, talk to different people. So instead of criticizing others, defending your idea, maybe we have to talk with different people. So I think this is it's very simple tip.
Well, coming from you, you visited many parts of the country.
Yes, I'm from Japan, but I lived in Squatter community. I went to Albuera later. So I live together with them. So this kind of experience somehow, kind of anthropologic approach might be necessary for democracy. If you are just active only in internet, you don't meet with other people, right?
Well, well put. Thank you for joining us, Professor, and we look forward to reading more of your works. And good luck. Where can we find your book? Where can they buy
this book is published from National University of Singapore Press, but Ateneo de Manila University Press is going to publish Filipino version. So I don't know if it will be, but I'm hoping it will be published from.
Do you have a new work?
New work. Yes, new work.
This is the latest. No other.
No, I have latest piece on war on drugs of the president, which is published, I think yesterday, in the Philippine Sociological Review, the latest volume.
Great. I understand there are ongoing dialogues and talks about the discourse on not only on the war on drugs, but also on Philippine democracy. And thank you for contributing to that
thank you very
discourse.
much.
We've been talking to Professor Wataru Kusaka. Thank you for joining us. I'm Voltaire Tupas.
Thank you very much.
Good evening.